Hey, it's Jules, aka DJ Starlet. So I'm redoing this video because everything was just wrong with the last one, lighting and everything. Anyway, so this is actually the part one. There's 3 parts, but this is part 1 of being obedient. And I was telling a story about 3 separate things that have happened to me in the last few years, 2 or 3 years. Okay, so these are situations where you say to yourself, Lord, I heard you say something and tell me something to do, and I was obedient and I acted when you asked me to do something, but then it went awry, like something went wrong. And then you're like, why did I do that? Was that really him? Was I really listening to him? And so I wanted to talk about just being obedient, just saying yes. So for example, this one time, this was a year or 2 ago, the Lord spoke to me and he said, basically like, your friend is in trouble, go find them and help them. And really for like a week or 2, I was like, what are you talking about? I haven't talked to this person. I'm not, nothing, but I did. Like every day I kept feeling this nudge, and I went and I found them and I helped them. And to be quite honest, I feel like they don't even care that I helped them, but I did exactly what I believe I was asked to do. I helped. They were in a situation. They didn't ask for help, but I arrived with help, and I literally arrived at the right timing because it was God's timing. And I remember when I saw them, I said, like, I'm not here for anything else except for the Lord sent me. And they were just kind of confused by it. Like, how did you even know I was here? And I just said, the Lord showed me. And anyway, I got myself in a situation where I helped this person out. There was money involved. I helped bail them out. I put up a car. I did a lot of stuff that I normally would not do. And but I did it. I stepped out of my comfort zone, really out of my comfort zone, and I did it. And then afterwards, it was almost like, even a year or 2 after, I'm just like, why did I even do that? Because that person just seems not appreciative at all. They never paid me back. They never did anything. And so I just had all these, like, God, was that you, So that was scenario number 1. And then scenario number 2 is someone asked me to watch their child. And this is a teenager. And so I just basically arranged my entire life to make sure that I could take care of this child. And my children have known this person for a very long time. And we just rearranged everything, brought him into our home and loved him. It was like our own child, our own brother or sister. Very fond of them. And I know that the Lord had told me to do that because first they asked, and the mom asked, and I said, I don't know, I got to think about this. So I prayed on it. And then that next week at church, I heard Sean, the pastor, and he was talking, and there was actually children that he put up on the screen, and he's like, some of these children are in foster care, some of them homeless. Like, as a group, like, we need to address this and type situation. That wasn't verbatim, but that's basically the gist of what he said. And in that moment I had that little conviction, like, wow, Lord, I think that was like you telling me that I should have this child in my life. And the one thing that I did is, what I was taught is through my church, Central Christian, that we are supposed to introduce people to Christ and help them follow him. And so I said, well, if you want me to have this child, Lord, then, like, let me know. And then after I heard that sermon that Sean taught, I was like, okay, well, guess I'm supposed to do this. And then I said, well, Lord, if I'm supposed to introduce people to Christ and help them follow him, then you're going to have to provide. Like, you're going to have to provide the roof, the house, the means, everything. I have children. I have children in the house I'm taking care of, So I was like, you're going to have to be my partner. And so, he was. And that all went great. And we loved her and she loved us. And that went well for months and months and months. And then she ended up leaving, basically like spur of the moment during the Christmas holiday. And that was extremely hard. And it affected my family. And it was like a death. It was like somebody just had come in and sprayed bullets on my whole family. It's just in shambles. Like a piece of us was gone. And it was very hard. And it left me with saying things like, how this happen to me? And how could this happen to my children? And if it was really you, Lord, why? And you know, it's that same thing. Like, you help somebody out because you're told to, and then it just, something goes wrong, you know. And then there's a third scenario that happened again where somebody had asked me for something, and I said, well, all right, let me help you out. And they said, it's going to be a week, it's going to be a week, it's going to be 2 weeks. First it was a week, then it was 2 weeks, and then, you know, here we go. Fast forward 9 months later, I'm going, you know, where's the money? And so sometimes, you know, you're left feeling in situations like that, that you're like, God, Lord, I thought I heard you. What is wrong, you know? And why did I get hurt and all these things? But what I realized is it's not about what I can do for somebody else, or even how they feel about what I've done for them, because it's really for the Lord's glory that we do things. And that's a super hard lesson, because I've had to learn it over and over and over. I'm repeatedly, see the wall? I'm backing my head against the wall, constantly learning this lesson. And it's occurred to me in the last week or two, just doing some prayer, that it's not my calling to get an answer. It's not even my calling to get the money back, although I would like to have the money back, or I'd like them to say, hey, you know, I'm super sorry that I left your house. And that actually was said to me, but it's hard to believe. You know, your actions have to match your words. And a lot of times people don't, and they let us down. And so I was like, a few weeks ago, the Lord said basically, like, it's not about what has happened or what's happening with you or that person. This is about being obedient. And so the one thing that I can say is that I believe I heard from him, and I believe that I was obedient, and that is the only answer that I might ever get. I may never get why did it happen. I may never get any of those things, but the one thing I do know is that he asked me to do something, and I was obedient. So I know that I'm not blameless. You know, you can walk blameless because you're doing things you know are wrong, or you can walk right with the Lord. And so when he asked me to do something, I did. And that's the only thing that I finally got out of this is he asked me to do something, and I did. And I was obedient. So that's just a huge lesson on being obedient, that it's not about other people and how they perceive me or how they think me or what they do. It's really about, am I being obedient to the Lord? So the next time, I challenge you that when those situations come up and we start to feel sometimes neglected, abandoned, unheard, unloved, like people aren't grateful, there's just such a plethora of emotions and feelings and triggers, if you're in a Celebrate Recovery, triggers that come up with this. You knew my story. How would you do that to me? You know I'm a single parent. How could you let this happen? All those things, those triggers, those rage, all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, the Lord's like, did I ask you to be obedient? Because if he's asking me to be obedient in the small things, and taking somebody's kid in is not a small thing, you know, lending somebody money, bailing them out, I mean, those things aren't really small. But if he's asking me to be obedient in the small things, okay, then that means he can trust me to be obedient in the big things. You know, and again, that all goes back to, you know, it goes to number 2 and number 3, which is obedient with my time, my money, my resources, my attention span, all of these things, right? So anyway, that's my little nugget wisdom. It is actually video number 1 of 3. So you will see me wearing this hat for number 1, 2, and 3. And if I've helped you in any way or enlightened you in any way, then I'd ask you just to put a comment down below, subscribe to my channel, because really it's just for God's glory that I do this. I don't think that I'm, you know, somebody meant for TV or popularity or any of that kind of stuff, but I do believe the Lord spoke to me and said, you know, if I've helped you and you believe you can help somebody else, then, you know, put the word out there. So that's the only reason that I would be doing this. And so, you know, I thank him and I praise him for giving me these gifts and these just wisdom nuggets that I get every single day. So anyway, have a blessed one, y'all, and I'll see you later.